What's up, swim team? It's the Big C, aka CJ Extreme, aka CJ Lionheart of Continental Championship Wrestling. Today we have one question for our Q&A. It comes from one of my good friends, one of my best friends, my previous self, aka Amir. For the next video, he says, if wrestling doesn't work out, what are some other avenues you would pursue? It could be career-wise or another passion you have. Now, if you guys have your own questions for me, you can go ahead and comment down below, and I'll answer them in the next video. Unless it's something pertaining to this video in particular, then I'll just answer it in the comments. Now, I've been asked this question before. I never really go into detail, really, and I, don't really have like a huge following. I'm not really well known or anything like that, so not everyone even knows this. But so obviously, YouTube will be one thing I would do, and we're going to talk briefly about that before I go into the other one. Obviously I would want to have this work out, otherwise I wouldn't be doing it, right? I mean, it's a fun hobby, but I would like for it to, go a more professional route and just kind of, be able to do this instead of having to work a 9-to-5, which would be pretty sweet, and could work really well with my, wrestling schedule, since I'd be having my own schedule. That'd be pretty fucking sick, And that's what anybody would want, to have their own schedule, to work on their own time, but that's sometimes it's not how the cookie crumbles, right? But yeah, this would be one avenue I would want to pursue if I wasn't able to be a wrestler. The other one I wanted to talk about, I'm talking really fast, by the way, because I already recorded this. And when I recorded it, for some reason my mic was messed up. So it was just a bunch of dead space of nothing. And I almost uploaded a video where I just wasn't talking. The other avenue would be me doing writing. I don't know if you guys know, but I actually have been writing a light novel for the longest time. It's actually a whole series. The name of it is Half Sleep. And right now I'm trying to write the Origins book. So it kind of started because I was writing a crossover between X-Men and Star Wars, and I didn't stick to it because copyright, And then, who's going to take my, idea seriously, especially when I was writing this in like second grade, Nobody's going to be into that. At least I didn't believe so. So I eventually was just like, maybe I could write my own thing. And I didn't know it was a light novel at the time, or if that was the direction I was going to go in when I started. But that's where I'm at right now. I could have probably done some drawing stuff for it, but I just feel like my drawing skills aren't up to par with what I would want to do. And I think I could describe the vision that I want people to see rather than trying to draw it for them, if that makes any sense. But not everybody, has that problem, and I just have to be one of the people who do. I'm going to read you guys the first 5 pages or so, and hopefully you guys are into it. If not, it is what it is. But I think you guys might like this a lot. I think it's pretty cool. It's got 4 different parts. And you're going to hear a lot of words that you're probably not used to hearing. Because not a lot of the words, but there's a good chunk of words in here that are made up. Because it's my own, whole ass universe that I created. There's some semblance of like inspiration here and there. But for the majority of it, it is my own original idea. Alright, let's get started. The original Yamanon story begins with the explosion of an enormous green star called Photon, located in the southeast of CJ Galaxy. From the debris of the supernova, a new energy rose from the concrete of the Half-Sleep Universe 1. The energy was later named Yama by Irisu, who manifested from the blast along with the solar system he would inhabit. His vocabulary was developed naturally, as it was universal. The name Yama came from the first sound that Irisu ever made. As an infant, he slept bald and naked in cold space, cradling himself and slowly floating around his solar system with the various glowing celestial bodies in the galaxy. The power of gravity from a nearby planet yanked him onto a barren planet that had yet to be named. While the lay of the land looked like the Sahara Desert, this planet was extremely cold, and oddly enough, the sand reflected light brilliantly despite the sky being black as night. As a small child, Irisu referred to his world as home planet, since nothing else lived there and no one else had ever been there to his knowledge. The Yamanon was never comfortable with the dirt against his body when it was time to rest. So by age 5, Irisu created clothing that he could wear for as long as he lived. Since he'd never seen any other people before, Irisu had an obscure fashion sense. He understood the necessity of fitting his clothing, but knew hardly anything about color coordination. The Yamanan only had the red, yellow, and blue light beaming through home planet's atmosphere to work with. Irisu covered his upper body with a blood red turtleneck and legs with lemon yellow colored shorts, no shoes, and a cobalt blue headband that oddly complemented his unkempt emerald green hair. On home planet, hold on, I gotta find it. There we go. On home planet, Irisu developed and refined his intelligence relatively quickly when compared to any other intelligent life form in the universe. Growing from ages 0 to 9, Irisu would accidentally use one of his abilities and retain the occurrence in order to repeat and perfect the ability. Often at times, they were random elemental explosions from his hands. In one instance, he accidentally struck himself with lightning while in space, meaning he could spontaneously create lightning. This would occur periodically with other elements like fire, water, earth, ice, acid, or even light and dark. At age 10, he learned how to create inanimate objects as well as technological devices. By this point, he was aware of everything he could do and inquired why. Despite knowing what he could do, he had yet to access many of his abilities in order to use them. He tried building an environment to fill the barren wasteland that surrounded him, but couldn't. He had no idea what a populated and vibrant environment could look like, as he's only seen what was around him. Irisu could leave any time, but he was too afraid to do so, not because of the fear of the unknown, but the fear of what was held within. A few days after unveiling his fear, Irisu was created by a woman on a space. I'm gonna read that again. I'm a little dyslexic or something. I don't know what's going on. A few days after unveiling his fear, Irisu was greeted by a woman on a space bike. A land and air vehicle shaped like a standard sports motorcycle arrived on his planet. She had a small group of 10 at her flank. Irisu managed to remember the exact conversation. He noticed the woman stepped out in front of everyone else while keeping her distance from him. He felt threatened, though her voice was very calming. She was dressed like a Los Angeles State Trooper, but with a black, white, and gray color scheme. A coin gray three-buttoned tucked-in collared shirt with a white undershirt, only visible at the neck. Resting on her waist were coin gray pants over black boots. A somewhat long white tie was worn as well for some reason. The utility belt was as black as the boots, equipped with a radio and some sort of gun. Her skin was periwinkle purple, as were her allies. Her eyes were covered with black shades, and her hair was covered by a black helmet with a white stripe going down the middle. She got off her space bike and greeted Irisu enthusiastically in her language. "Hello there. I'm Gaba, a Nurple from planet Purpura. What's your name?" She had a big smile with pearly white, human-like teeth. Irisu found her smile to be creepy when not being able to see her eyes. When he heard her speak, his brain quickly learned every component of their native language. There's a contradiction you just noticed there, likely, and it's part of the plot, just a heads up. The Yamanan quickly replied, plainly, Irisu. Gaba's heart skipped a beat, as this was the first time anyone from Purpura had ever encountered another life form outside of their planet or on another planet. And to find a being who could communicate with them was far more unprecedented. The Nurples were very much like humans, only they could survive naked in space They were far more technologically advanced. That's not what it says, but I autocorrected that as I was reading it. Gaba managed to calm herself as she had practiced. She continued in an animated fashion. That's a lovely name. Now, Irisu, my friends and I would like you to come with us to our home, planet Purpura. Irisu watched the body language of Gaba's allies. They didn't look nearly as friendly as their spokesperson. He knew something was amiss. Gaba, be honest with me. What's really going on here? You seem really nice, but your friends look like they have something else in mind if I were to say no. Gaba went silent for a few seconds before she contacted her designated space station, Code 123. Permission to proceed with protocol? A few seconds passed before she got a call back. Permission granted. Gaba continued to be polite with the alien. Irisu, you may not remember me, but I'm the one who gave you your name. Irisu comes from the sound of the explosion that created our solar system. Now, I must tell you, my men are going to give you a ride to our space or our planet Purpura. You can ride with me if you'd like, but first I must ask, can you breathe in space? Gaba unveiled her face, triggering flashbacks of her younger self. Irisu remembered Gaba. I spelled her name wrong somehow. How did I spell her name wrong? It's so simple. There we go. Consoling him. I'm going to read that sentence again. Irisu remembered Gaba consoling him as if he were her newborn child. In addition to that, he remembered blowing up a building of some kind accidentally. He and Gaba were the only survivors. The Yamanon more vividly recalled Gaba scolding him before hugging Irisu and leaving him on home planet. After a long pause and realizing that he could forget important events for some odd reason, Irisu kindly replied, I was created in space, so yes, I can breathe there. Great, Gaba exclaimed as she headed to her bike. Come along. Irisu made it perfectly clear to her. Thank you for naming me, but I'm not going with you. Leave me alone. Gaba grinned as she slowly transitioned to an exaggerated laugh before saying, I'm sorry, but that's not an option. Irisu knew there was no room for negotiation. He would have dealt with them physically, but elected to flee due to his confused feelings for Gaba. He questioned whether Gaba had ill intent, and his intuition only caused him to assume the worst. But he felt there was some familiarity emanating from her. To the Yamanon, having fond memories of Gaba was not indicative of her true nature, as she failed to address their shared history initially. Why did she pretend not to know me? Was she telling the truth? Irisu was also under the impression that he flew far faster than they'd anticipated or could even perceive. He didn't travel out of the solar system as he wanted to stay close to home. The Yamanon spotted a purple planet and assumed it was Purpura. He went to another planet approximately 489 million miles away called Moko. The planet looked like a gigantic spear of coffee. There was a massive body of land, an enormous island with a snowy mountain called Mount Latte at its north, and a forest taking up the rest. The forest was filled with a labyrinth of dirt, paths, markets, homes, and farmland. Irisu was able to hide on it because he ran into a young girl who was conveniently just as old as him. Farah was the young one's name. While Irisu's arrival startled her, she was non-committal. Black hair, blue eyes, a smaller physique compared to the Yamanon, along with cream-colored skin. Two things he remembered perfectly about her was her voice and her adventurous and kind personality. Farah's voice was soft and crystal clear. She spoke at a moderate pace and was very patient with everyone. Irisu's interactions with her, as well as the rest of the Moko Islanders, helped him develop the personality he would have as an adult. The Moko Islanders referred to themselves as Kokos. How far have I read so far? Oh, okay, I'm right before the time skip. Okay, cool. We'll read the time skip. We'll read to the time skip, I guess. I'm having fun reading this. Let me just make sure. Oh, okay, yep. Cool. Alright, we ain't got much longer. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this. Irisu's life on Moko began with his first friend. His arrival to Moko was noticed by the hundreds who lived on the supercontinent of Moko, including the royal guard and the queen of the massive island, Babalu. Farah was alone outside stargazing from the rooftop of her home as her parents prepared dinner for her. From the red rooftop of her white home, she'd seen shooting stars before, but never a green star, let alone one coming straight for her. Fortunately, Irisu was capable of controlling himself when going against gravity. He was aiming for Farah purposely, as she was the only one who appeared to be the same age as him. How could I not trust someone who looks like me? He thought. Farah covered her mouth when she screamed at the sight of Irisu. Her fear dropped rapidly once she realized that Galmanon was just another kid. Perched like a falcon in front of Farah's face, Irisu audibly said, "Hi," before the young girl slammed her hand over his mouth. She whispered, "Can you please keep it down? I'm not supposed to be out here. You'll get me in trouble." Irisu gently removed Farah's left hand from his face and looked to the sky over his shoulder. He couldn't see or sense Gaba or her people. Farah asked another question softly. "What are you looking for? Are you in trouble too?" Despite her best efforts, Farah's parents were awakened from their slumber by Irisu. Now, I said earlier that they were preparing dinner. She's been out there for a while, basically, is what I'm implying. But yeah. Despite her best efforts, Farah's parents were awakened from the slumber by Irisu. Her mother was named Palm, while her father's name was Jim. Kind of like The Office. Farah, honey, Palm, her concerned mother called. "Are you okay out there? We saw a big green light and we heard someone." Farah's heart jumped, causing Irisu to worry as well. She snatched him by the wrist and hurriedly moved him to the basement without saying a word. Irisu understood the nonverbal cue to remain silent while listening in. Farah walked inside with her head down and hands firmly grasped behind her back. The floorboards were hollow, so Irisu figured he'd probably be able to hear the father regardless. The father, Jim, expressed his internal fears with anger on his face, but he spoke to Farah in a calm but firm voice. "Farah, I need you to look at me and be honest with me, sweetheart. Who was that?" "Who was that?" She feigned innocent. "Whose voice was that? The one you were whispering to?" Like Irisu, the people of Moko could use Yama energy as well, and Irisu had a surplus amount of it. And since the house hadn't exploded into a trillion pieces, and they could still feel his presence, and since the house hadn't exploded into a trillion pieces, and they could still feel his presence. Okay, cool. I was trying to see if that was grammatically incorrect, but okay. Distracted by her father's glare, Farah continued to lie as the mother's eyes flexed to use her unique ability called Shaw, an ocular ability that enhances Palm's perception beyond that of an everyday Coco. With Shaw, Palm could use X-ray vision and supersonic zoom to see all around the planet. She spotted little Irisu beneath the floorboard staring back at her. She nudged Jim to disarm and tell him everything is okay. Farah continued, "You guys never let me have any friends, so I have to use my imagination to make up people to talk to, okay?" Jim smiled at his sassy daughter and clasped the left hand of his beloved. "Okay, sweetheart, we were just worried. Have fun." Palm gripped Jim's hand tighter and added, "Just know, if you ever have any friends to introduce us to, they're always welcome here. So yeah, as I was reading that, I kept finding typos and stuff, but like honestly, I actually hadn't read that in a long time. So for me, that was pretty refreshing. I thought that was pretty good, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it too. But yeah, that's what I would probably hyperfixate on, is writing that. It's pretty. I honestly think I'm making a really good project here, and I don't think I'm ever going to stop writing until I'm done with doing it. But hopefully, you guys stick around long enough for me to finish that, publish it, and we can all read it together one day. But yeah, thanks for watching. And leave a question in the comments if you have one.